push back. You just want to along with the flow. And then now that you're putting your foot down, you feel that, that's causing some conflicts and tension and issues. You also believe that she's alienating your child from you. You're giving several examples during evaluation. That she's saying certain things and your child is saying certain things back to you, and you believe that that's mom influencing your little one. That you question her as well as her family's values and principles. On many occasions, you talk about how you didn't want your little one Stella, around that, those type of values and principles and things like that, or lack thereof. You sense that she doesn't want to be involved, or not willing to co-parent or communicate with you. You mentioned that you sense that from her. And you use examples of how she's just making unilateral decisions without, trying to work with you. And you gave me an example of the flu shot. You mentioned that, she scheduled an appointment for Stella to get her flu shot, and she didn't even involve you only until after she scheduled the appointment. You mentioned another issue that you had was in the early going was that Miss Nicholson was picking up Stella from daycare on Mondays at noon when you felt that she shouldn't have done that's your parenting time. Although you were at work, but that's something that, you felt that she was interfering. And I believe you did end up calling the police to inquire about that to see what could be done about that. All in all, you did mention and you clarified throughout the evaluation, pretty much from beginning to end, that you didn't want to go through this process. In fact, that you did want to work on the marriage. Yes, you wanted to reconcile. That if you look back when you hired your first attorney, that you just wanted a parenting plan, and I guess you felt that you were advised to go ahead and file for divorce. That if you were to do it again, you would probably do it differently and go to counseling, which is something that Ms. Nicholson had indicated prior to you filing for divorce. And you mentioned that, yes, looking back, probably would have done that. Ms. Nicholson, in response, pretty much what you indicated to me is that you are seeking sole legal custody. You talk about same issues that Mr. Nicholson was mentioning, that there's no communication, can't co-parent, it's difficult to work with him. You feel that he harasses and bullies you, constantly putting you down. You use the example of the fact that Stella is currently in 2 daycares as an example of the fact that you guys can't work together, can't co-parent. You feel that at times he oversteps boundaries, such as, asking or wondering what you do, what are you doing with your time when you don't have Stella with you. He mentions that he crosses the line as far as, calling you a lesbian in front of the child, accusing you of having a relationship with another female. There was an incident you mentioned about during exchange that Mr. Nicholson gave you a backpack, and pretty much when you grabbed it, he ended up pulling it back aggressively. And these are the reasons why he tried to stay away and avoid contact. And these are the reasons why you mentioned that you just feel that you can't co-parent with him. You mentioned that he's mentioned to you that he believes that you don't date, but that, you just sleep with people, things like that you just don't want to put yourself in a situation that he will continue to make comments like that. You believe that there may be some mental health issues for Mr. Nicholson. You believe that he's mentally unstable. You did mention that you have a difficult time because this is not the person that you married. You feel like you don't know him anymore, and it's something that it does affect you emotionally. You believe that he's paranoid, that being accused, I guess you had explained to me that he had accused you of trying to make him look like a pedophile because of things that were in Stella's bag. Making allegations such as, that your dad tried to kiss him and things like that. that you mentioned that these are things that's never happened, and you question his mental stability. That there was an issue regarding Stella's privates. That I guess during when he picked up Stella at childcare, that I guess someone had just changed her, and he didn't like the way he was looking at him, and just the vibe. He said it just didn't feel right, and he mentioned that Stella's privates did not look right. So these are things that you mentioned. These are possible things that it's within him. That they may not be issues, and you encourage him to follow up if necessary. You mentioned that you have a good support system. You always cared and provided for Stella, so you would like to maintain that role. Once again, guys, for both of you guys, there's plenty of information, but like I said, we'll be here till tomorrow. I just want to make sure that we get done in time, and right now I feel like I'm falling behind. So Watertown PD, I did get a incident report from September 14th that pretty much Mr. Nicholson called the police department because of the issue of Ms. Nicholson picking up Stella on Mondays at noon, as opposed to leaving her at 5 o'clock for him to pick up. That police officer mentioned that this is really a civil matter, and you have to take this in family court. I spoke with Erica Robinson Mescovich, who's Ms. Nicholson's counselor, who provided me a letter indicating that she's been in treatment since May of 2019. Weekly sessions focusing on anxiety related to emotional abuse currently and during marriage. That you're active and engaged. I spoke with Samaria Green, Mr. Nicholson's former therapist. She mentioned that he participated in 3 sessions, July 27th, 2019, August 3rd, 2019, and August 24th of 2019. That Mr. Nicholson was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, NOS, not otherwise specified, with rule-out bipolar disorder. That I guess there was a questionnaire that he had provided and submitted, and that he didn't meet the criteria for bipolar disorder based on that questionnaire. But the reason why she mentioned that it was ruled out is because there's still, she considered it and needed further evaluation and further assessment. That at the time, Mr. Nicholson, amidst, irritability at the time, lack of sleep, struggles coping, not being with family, talk about stressors and being overwhelmed, coping with anxiety. And they also worked on, communication with Miss Nicholson. That the last session, he wanted Miss Nicholson to be included and participate in the session, which eventually was canceled. He never rescheduled. He was no longer interested in therapy. She believes that treatment ended prematurely. She needed a little bit more time to continue evaluating. And her recommendations were for Mr. Nicholson to continue ongoing treatment and a psychiatric evaluation if needed. Achieve Wellness, LLC. I spoke with Amina Durrani. Did I pronounce that right? Amina Durrani? I'm not sure. Okay. He had an intake with this Mr. Nicholson's therapist. Had an intake on October 23rd, 2020. He attends weekly sessions for about an hour. It was a self-referral. He was diagnosed with adjustment disorder related to the life circumstances. And she didn't have any information from the prior therapist, from Ms. Green. Everything, of course, is self-reported. She indicated she believes you're doing everything that you could do, and that you're cooperative, engaged, that she believes you're sincere in your feelings of divorce, that you demonstrate good eye contact, you're leveled, no highs or lows, nothing that concerns her, or don't see any reason for a psych evaluation. I received information from E.A. Renfro, Mr. Nicholson's employer, And the letter pretty much indicated that they can't provide a lot of specific information because they have their own policies, but basically they had a list of all the projects that you worked on dating back to 2017. As you work as an independent insurance adjuster. Michael Stokes, who's Miss Nicholson's employer, I guess, is because I know it's a group practice. So, she's an independent clinician, contractor. She has her LCSW. She's a therapist. She makes her own schedule. She doesn't see any issues. He doesn't have any issues. A great work ethic, no concerns. Dr. Lisa Manila, who's Stella's pediatrician. She talked about Stella being overall in good health. She did talk about asthma. I guess she described that as mild persistent. She's currently taking meds for prevention. She does have an asthma plan. I guess it started back in April 2019. And apparently she's due for another. So be on the lookout for that. As far as Stella, that everything is normal and appropriate regarding her growth and development. Talked about both parents being involved, during the visits. And she doesn't see any issues or concerns there, that neither one of you guys have talked negatively or anything like that, that everything has been pretty much, peachy for another, in other words. Bristol Preschool. I also spoke with Joanne Mendelon. And by the way, I think there's a relation there with the pediatrician and Miss Manila. But